Hey Sugar Geeks, Liz here. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite easy summer desserts, classic strawberry shortcake. If you love strawberries like I love strawberries, and that's like a lot, then you do not want to miss this video. Coming up next on the Sugar Geek Show. So you might be wondering, Liz, what's up with the hair, the new look? It's quarantine time. All right, so let's make our biscuits. Super easy. I do everything on the scale to minimize dishes and mess, and it also helps to keep the butter really cold. So we're just gonna add our flour, salt, sugar, baking powder, and baking soda into this bowl. I'm just gonna whisk that up just to distribute the baking soda and the baking powder and all that. Next step is to add our butter, just putting our bowl right on top of the scale and turning it on. And we're pressing tare, ignore the bowl, bowl's not here. We take our very cold butter straight from the fridge and just grate that in, super simple, until we get to 6 ounces. So that way the heat from my hand is never touching the part of the butter that's going into the flour. Just the less you can touch it, the better. So about 4 ounces in there. I'm just gonna toss it a little bit to get that first layer of butter down into the flour. And then continue on. Boom, 6 ounces, easy. Once you make biscuits this way, you'll never make them any other way. So all of our butter is nicely incorporated into the flour. Now we're gonna make a little well, basically a hole in the middle. I'm gonna put some cold buttermilk in here. But remember I said we're on quarantine, I don't actually have any buttermilk. So I'm gonna make my own, just right in the bowl. If you want to know more about making your own buttermilk, check out my blog post on sugargeekshow.com. I've got like tons of different ways, including some dairy-free options. So I'm just using regular milk. I need 12 ounces, right out of the fridge. You want it nice and cold. And then I'm gonna use lemon juice to make my buttermilk. And then I'm also gonna add the zest of the lemon into my biscuits because lemon and strawberry go together really well. And I have to use the lemon juice, so I might as well use the zest too. These should be called quarantine biscuits. Use what you have. We just want the yellow part. I'm gonna cut our lemon in half. I should also mention that my oven is preheating to 375 degrees. I'm just gonna squeeze this lemon into the milk, just doing it through a strainer so I catch any seeds. And then I'm gonna save the other half of the lemon for our filling. Mix. So first we're gonna take the flour and just kind of push it from the outside into the middle using our hand. And then we're gonna make a claw with just this hand, don't use 2 hands. And I'm just gonna rotate like this until we have a very sticky, wet blob dough. Very cold, that's a good thing. You do not wanna over mix this. We're just basically trying to get it to the point where we don't really see a lot of like dry flour. And then stop, okay? So you can see it's not like a cohesive ball. It's not stuck together in any way, and that's good. All right. Light amount of flour. Put that all on there. Now we're just gonna smush it together. Just kind of smash it. And what we have here are beautiful, delicious biscuits. Believe it or not, these are perfect. About 2 inches tall, I'd say. And we're just gonna take half of our dough. It's gonna be not stuck together or anything, it's fine. Fold it over, flatten it back down to about 2 inches tall. That is 1 fold, and that's gonna create beautiful layers. Rotate, put more flour on your hands, fold again, and flatten. That's 2. 45 degrees. 3. 4. I'm just gonna do 5. I kind of just feel the dough, and when it gets to the point where it's like starting to feel kind of gluten-y and stretchy, that's when I stop. So it's starting to bounce back. We're gonna put some flour on our rolling pin, and I'm gonna roll this down to about 1 inch. If you can keep this kind of in a square, that's gonna be better for servings. Whenever you see an area where you need more dough in that direction, you take your rolling pin and roll towards whatever area needs more dough. Ooh, I can see all those butter layers in there. That looks delicious. All right, so now I have a cutter here. This is actually 4.5 inches. It's pretty big because I want these shortcakes to be like little mini cakes. So I opt for a bigger cutter so that I can have like something that looks pretty good on the plate and then can fill it pretty well with the whipped cream. So I'm just gonna go straight down. Do not twist, straight up. So I'll probably get about 4 biscuits out of this, maybe an ugly one that you can bake up and have that for an extra. So I have 4 beautiful biscuits and 2 ugly ones, and this is all I have left over. So that's not bad. Hey buddy, did you have a good walk? Huh? Yeah?
Oh,
we're making strawberry shortcake. You want to taste the strawberry?
Ezra. Ooh.
Oh, don't put the whole thing in your mouth.
Yes.
He likes fruit. Fun fact about Avalon, she doesn't like fruit. She loves chocolate, but not fruit. So now we're gonna put our giant biscuits on a sheet pan. You want them to actually be pretty close together because that helps them rise straight up. So I'm leaving about 1/4 inch of space in between because they don't flatten out at all. They just go straight up. This ugly one's a little bit thick. I can feel. Flatten that out and just make it a little bit more. You want them all to be pretty even so they, bake evenly. Okay. Now we're gonna dust these in an egg wash, which helps brown the tops and it gives something for our sugar to stick to. If you don't want to use an egg or you don't have eggs, you can use milk. Just whisk that up. I'm just gonna dip this in here. And you just wanna be careful that you don't get any of this on the sides because that's actually gonna glue the sides together and kind of stop them from rising. I'm using crystal sugar, which is basically sprinkles, but you can use just regular granulated sugar or turbino sugar. Just any kind of like chunky white sugar is gonna look really nice. I'm gonna sprinkle that generously on top. And that's gonna add some sparkle and some sweetness because this is a dessert, even though we're using the basic biscuit recipe. Okay, into the oven. I'm gonna put them in there for 10 minutes, turn them, and then bake them for another 10 minutes until they're nice and golden. While that's baking, I'm gonna go ahead and prepare my strawberries. First thing you wanna do is pick out some really beautiful ones. So the biggest, juiciest, best looking strawberries I'm gonna set aside to use as garnish. I have already treated these strawberries in a vinegar wash, which helps kill any bacteria that's on them, so you can store them in the refrigerator for much longer without them going moldy. Basically, you just put these strawberries in a gallon of water, like in a bowl, and then you add a 1/4 cup of white vinegar, agitate it a little bit, then rinse them off, and you have clean strawberries. All right, so now I'm going to prepare my strawberries. I'm just gonna cut off the top, and then I'm gonna cut the strawberry into 4 pieces. And I'm just gonna add those all into a bowl. And then we're gonna add about a 1/4 cup of sugar. Taste your strawberries. If they're out of season and not very sweet, you might wanna add a little bit more sugar. Or if they're super sweet, you can add a little bit less. They're pretty good. Obviously, if you have a ginormous strawberry, you can cut it into smaller pieces. I'm using about 1.5 pounds of strawberries. You might have to adjust the amount you use. This is a perfect dessert to bring to like a barbecue or something because you can just make all of the filling ahead of time and bake the biscuits up ahead of time and then just bring it to the event and serve it kind of as needed. So like people can come up, grab their biscuit, and then you can just Put some strawberry filling in there and the whipped cream. Delicious. Okay, I'm just gonna sprinkle this sugar on there. Give it a little mix with my hands, and we're just gonna let that set while our biscuits cook. All right, biscuits are out of the oven. They look amazing. So these actually took about 25 minutes instead of the usual 20, which makes sense because they're a bigger biscuit. I'm gonna let these cool down. Once your biscuits are cool, you can go ahead and make your stabilized whipped cream. You don't have to stabilize it, but it is going to make it a little bit more stable so it doesn't melt in the high temperatures. I use gelatin. That's my favorite way of stabilizing whipped cream. You can check out my blog post on stabilizing whipped cream if you want other ideas on how to make it stable. And I used to just dissolve 1 teaspoon of powdered gelatin in some cold water and add that directly into the whipped cream. But people have talked about it like not emulsifying very well. So now I do the same thing, but then I add a teaspoon of cold whipped cream to the melted gelatin, and then that helps it blend into the whipped cream. So add your heavy whipping cream to the bowl of your stand mixer with the whisk attachment. Mix on medium until you start to see some lines appearing in the surface of the heavy cream. Go ahead and place the powdered sugar into the whipped cream and mix on low until just combined. I have my whipped cream here, all ready to basically a very loose, soft peak. That's when I want to add in my gelatin. I've already added in my powdered sugar. I'm gonna add in vanilla, mix on low, and then just add that gelatin in until it's just combined. The secret to perfect whipped cream is not to over whip it. It just needs to be holding its shape when it sits on top like that. You can always just finish it by hand if you feel like it's not quite there. Get all the way to the edges. I'm gonna put this whipped cream into a piping bag just because for me that's the easiest way to do it. You could just use a spoon. All right, I have my cooled biscuit here. I'm just gonna use a little knife. I'm gonna focus mostly on keeping the top intact. It's very crispy and crunchy. Just working my way around the outer perimeter, about 1/4 of an inch up from the top. See how beautiful and golden brown that is. And then you can just crack that open. Those beautiful layers. All right, we place that on there. I'm gonna add a little bit of melted butter. We have our beautiful strawberries. All their juices have released. Let's make a nice syrup. Scoop that up and just put it right on top. And then that yummy strawberry syrup just soaks into that bottom biscuit. It's absolutely delicious. Just a nice even layer. That's all you need. And then a healthy dollop of whipped cream. And by dollop, I mean like a lot. Then you place that big biscuit on top. One more dollop of whipped cream on top. Take one of our beautiful luscious berries. And then that just goes right over there. And tell me that is not beautiful. Oh, so good. It's like summertime. All the strawberry juices have soaked into that bottom biscuit. It's so good. Come here for a second. You want to eat some strawberries? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't make you eat strawberries. That's it, guys. That's how you make the most amazing homemade strawberry shortcakes you've ever had. If you want to see more strawberry recipes like this one coming up in the future, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm Liz Merrick, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.